December arrives, and while the world outside seems to fall into a rhythm of celebration, lights, and reunions, inside of you, a red alert goes off. There's a knot in your stomach that tightens a little more every day the calendar moves toward the holidays. You aren't thinking about gifts or the holiday menu with joy. You're calculating risks. You're walking on eggshells, trying to predict the mood, trying to anticipate the explosion, trying, desperately, to keep the peace. But deep down, you already know something is going to happen. It always does. It's almost like a timed curse. It could be a sudden illness on the eve of your family's party. It could be an argument started over something trivial 10 minutes before the guests arrive. Or maybe it's that icy, punishing silence hanging over the dinner table, forcing you to smile at the guests while you're crumbling inside, trying to figure out what you did wrong this time. This recurring feeling of dread is no coincidence. And most importantly, it's not your fault. For a narcissist, the end of the year isn't just a date on the calendar. It's a high-pressure psychological trigger that completely destabilizes the mask they wear. There is a logic, however twisted, behind this chaos. And understanding this logic is the only way for you to stop being an emotional hostage to these dates. Let's decode exactly why the narcissist needs to ruin your holiday. My name is Lauren Mitchell. My purpose with this channel is to show you that the problem was never you, and more importantly, that you are not alone. Maybe you've looked for explanations for a long time, and nothing made sense. My ebook is the first resource that truly guides you with clarity and care through everything you've experienced. It is complete, compassionate, and unique, made to heal wounds that no one else ever saw in you. Access my ebook and learn about the channel member benefits through the link in the description of this video. Let's start by validating your reality, because it's very likely that over the years, you've been told you're too sensitive, that you're imagining things, or that you ruined everything because of your reaction to abusive behavior. But let's look at the facts. There is a pattern that repeats with the precision of a Swiss watch in these dynamics. The month begins with a latent tension. The narcissist may oscillate between exaggerated excitement, promising the best Christmas ever, buying expensive gifts you didn't ask for, making grand plans, and a sudden, critical, and biting moodiness. This oscillation leaves you in a state of hypervigilance. You start trying to manage the environment. You make sure the kids aren't too loud. You ensure their clothes are perfectly pressed. You agree with absurd opinions just to avoid friction. You become the guardian of the home's emotional stability. And then, the crucial moment arrives. Usually the freak-out happens during the transition. It's the moment you're getting ready to leave, or when the first guest rings the doorbell. The narcissist chooses this moment surgically. Why? Because it's the moment when you are most vulnerable to social pressure and therefore least likely to react or defend yourself. They know you won't scream back if your mother is in the living room. They know you'll swallow your tears so you don't smudge your makeup before the company party. The methods vary, but the result is the same: destabilization. It might be the silent treatment in the car on the way to your parents' house. They drive in silence, with an expression of contempt, and you spend the whole trip asking, "What's wrong?" with no response. You arrive at the party drained and anxious, while they, miraculously, as soon as they walk in, transform into the life of the party, charismatic and smiling with everyone except you. Or it might be active sabotage. They forget something crucial, take hours to get ready on purpose so you arrive late, or start an argument about something that happened 3 years ago, demanding an immediate resolution while the turkey is in the oven. What you feel in these moments is a devastating mix of shame, confusion, and loneliness. You are surrounded by people, but you feel isolated in your own experience of abuse. You look around, see couples smiling, families interacting, and you wonder, why not me? Why does everything have to be so hard? This discrepancy between the expectation of the date and the reality of your pain is where the trauma takes root. To understand why this happens, we need to dive into the first hidden layer of the narcissistic psyche, their relationship with attention and supply. The narcissist operates with what we call zero-sum thinking. To them, attention is a finite resource. If you are receiving attention, it means they are losing it. If the children are happy, and the center of attention opening gifts, it means no one is looking at them. Holiday celebrations are, by definition, collective. The focus is on family, togetherness, children, and mutual exchange. The holiday spirit requires altruism. It requires us to look at others. And that is the antithesis of narcissism. For someone with narcissistic personality disorder or strong traits, not being the absolute center of attention is perceived as an existential threat. It is a narcissistic wound. When you are happy talking to your cousins, or when you are radiant preparing the house, you aren't focused on them. You are wasting the supply that should be theirs. This generates pathological envy. It's not just envy of what you have, it's envy of your ability to feel genuine joy. Deep down, the narcissist feels a chronic emptiness. They cannot access the simple, connected joy that the holidays propose. Seeing you and others laughing and having fun acts as a mirror reflecting their internal misery. And how do they deal with this painful dissonance? They need to level the playing field. If they can't rise to the level of your joy, they need to pull you down to the level of their misery. This is why the sabotage happens. By creating chaos, by making you cry, by generating a crisis, they regain the focus. Suddenly, the party isn't about Christmas anymore. It's about why he's angry, how to calm him down, what are we going to do now? They hijack the narrative. Even if it's negative attention, they are the protagonist again. They would rather be the villain of the night than an extra in your happiness. Now let's go deeper into a second aspect that often goes unnoticed: performance fatigue. We know that the narcissist wears a social mask. They build a persona of a functional, empathetic, and pleasant human being to get what they need. In daily life, they can maintain this mask for short periods. At work, at a dinner, in casual encounters, they have time to withdraw and recharge their disdain in private. However, the year-end holidays require a marathon of simulated intimacy. It's hours, sometimes days, of intense contact with family, in-laws, and friends. Society demands displays of affection, gratitude, patience, and kindness. For an empathetic person, this can be tiring, but it's natural. For the narcissist, this is an Oscar-worthy performance, and it requires colossal psychic energy. They have to pretend to care about your aunt's story. They have to pretend to be grateful for a gift they deem inferior. They have to simulate an emotional bond they do not possess. The longer this social exposure lasts, the heavier the mask becomes. The irritability you notice increasing as the date approaches is, in part, their performance anxiety. They know they will be tested. They know that real intimacy is dangerous for them because, in real intimacy, the flaws show. This internal pressure creates a cauldron about to explode, and the escape valve is you. You are the safe person for them to dump this frustration on. That's why they can be an angel with the guests and a demon with you in the kitchen. They are saving the mask for those who can still offer new supply and external validation, and taking out the exhaustion of the performance on someone who is already caught in the web. Additionally, there's the issue of gifts. Gifts are a classic manipulation tool during this time. The narcissist uses the gift not as a show of affection, but as an extension of their self-image, or as a passive-aggressive weapon. They might give you something grand in public, so everyone says, "Wow, he's so wonderful," while in private they treat you with coldness. Or they might give you something they know you hate, or something that serves them, like a household appliance, to subtly devalue you. If you complain, you're ungrateful. If you accept it with a smile, you're submitting. It's a game where you never win. We now come to the darkest and perhaps most revealing pillar of the nature of this disorder: memory sabotage. The narcissist has a pathological need to be unforgettable. The worst fate for them is indifference or being forgotten, and they know, instinctively, that intense emotions are the glue of memory. We remember moments of extreme joy and moments of extreme pain. The middle ground is forgotten. By systematically ruining your special dates, they are performing a work of Pavlovian conditioning. They are associating their image with every moment of celebration in your life. Think about it. When you remember Christmas 2018, what do you remember? Probably the massive fight that happened. When you hear certain holiday songs, does your body tense up? That is control. Even if you separate, even years later, these dates will serve as triggers that bring their presence back to your mind. They have marked the territory of your calendar. They don't want you to have happy memories where they are, just a supporting character. They want the date to be about them, even if it's about the pain they caused. There is a sadistic power in knowing they have the ability to change your emotional state in the blink of an eye. Watching you go from joyful anticipation to desperate crying is the ultimate proof that they have control over you. This also serves to isolate you. If every Christmas is a disaster, You start avoiding invitations. You stop wanting to see your family so you don't expose the situation, or to avoid the embarrassment of the scenes they make. Gradually, you withdraw, becoming more and more alone with them. And isolation is the fertile ground where abuse flourishes. Understand, it wasn't an accident. It wasn't the traffic. It wasn't the wrong gift. It wasn't your mother's comment. It was a power move. Upon hearing all this, it's possible you feel a weight in your chest, but I want you to feel the relief of clarity. When you understand that the behavior isn't random, that it follows a predictable script of seeking supply, control, and a fear of intimacy, you stop taking it personally. You stop asking yourself, what did I do wrong? The answer is nothing. You could have been the perfect spouse, the impeccable hostess, bought the most expensive gift. The freakout would have happened anyway, because the trigger isn't external, it's internal. The problem isn't the dinner, it's their inability to deal with happiness that doesn't revolve around them. Knowing this gives you a strategic advantage. You can predict the blow. When December arrives, you will no longer expect a miracle. You will prepare for the storm. This means lowering your expectations of them. It means having a plan B, taking your own car to parties so you don't depend on them to leave. It means shielding your emotions and not giving them the reaction of tears and despair they are looking for to feed themselves. The end of the year may have been hijacked for a long time, but it still belongs to you. Your ability to feel joy, connection, and hope is something they try to destroy, precisely because they don't have it. Protect that light. Observe their chaos like someone watching a storm outside through a safe window. Knowing you no longer need to get wet in their rain, you now have the map. Use it to navigate out of this storm. Feel free to leave your story, your vent, or even a suggestion for a future video topic in the comments below. Access the link in the description to learn about my ebook and the channel member benefits. Click the suggested video on the screen to stay with me, and remember, you are light. Never forget to shine.